So you're making a report in Power BI and you need to retrieve text fields like your description or your acceptance criteria from Azure DevOps into your Power BI reports. Now this looks like it should be easy enough. I mean, with every other field on here that you can see on the screen, you can very easily retrieve them using Analytics View or maybe OData feed, like you've been doing the whole time. But then when you try to retrieve text fields, it gets slightly more complicated. The Microsoft documentation states, the analytics service does not store any data for long text fields assigned to HTML or rich text data type. This includes description and history fields. So unfortunately, it's a little bit more complicated. However, in this video, I'll be showing you exactly how to retrieve them and how to use them inside of Power BI. I will break down what we need to do in 3 steps. Step number 1, we will use OData feed to obtain the work item IDs of the relevant work items in the project. Step number 2, we're going to use a function called vsts.contents to get the long text fields. And then step number 3, we will clean it up and use it inside of Power BI. So the goal for this video is to retrieve all of the user stories under my project, and I want to get the ID, the title, the work item type, the state, description, and acceptance criteria. So let's go over to Power BI so we can begin. Okay, so from here, I'm going to go on Transform Data to open the Power Query editor. And then here I'm going to go on New Source and I will select OData feed. Okay. I'm going to go on Advanced, and there are 3 parts to the URL I'll be using. All of them will be in the description below. So if you need to copy and paste them, you can get it from there. Okay, so part number 1 will be here, and you paste it. This part over here after the .com is your organization name. So you need to change this to whatever your organization is called. And if you don't know where to find that, you can find it right here. Okay, line number 2 will be us saying that we want to filter the organization and only retrieve the project called YouTube ADO. Okay, that's for my case, it's YouTube ADO. For you, it will be whatever is on here. And I want to only retrieve the user story, but obviously you can retrieve whatever you want, epics, features, or you can add other filters in here if you need to narrow it down even further. And the final line will be us selecting what we want to get, because these 2 lines here will retrieve all the fields in the user story. But in my case, I only want to get the work item ID, the title, the state, and the work item type. So this looks all right. I'm going to press OK. And as you can see by the preview, I'm getting all the user stories and the 4 fields that I was looking for. Okay, this looks great. So that's the first step done. And now that I've got all the work item IDs that I need, so these are all the relevant work item IDs, I can now make the API call via the vsts.contents function. Okay, this API call will take these work item IDs and it will return the long text fields that we're looking for. We have all the information that we need now. So we have the IDs, we have the organization, and we have the project. So I'm going to go on Advanced Editor over here. And this line here is what we've just done. So the OData feed. So I'm going to go comma, new line, and I'm going to do the second part now. I'm going to call this step here retrieve VSTS data, and this step over here will be me adding a new column to the table. The first parameter needs to be the previous step, so I'm going to call it, I'm going to put a source here because that's what we just done and what it's called. The next parameter will be the name of the new column. So in my case, I'm going to call it VSTS. And then here is the actual function. So for us, we're going to say each json.document, open brackets, vsts.contents, open brackets, and then inverted commas. And in here, we will put the URL for the API call. Once again, you can find this in the description. I'm going to copy it here, paste it here. And remember, you need to change this first one after the .com and put your organization name. The one after is your project name, and the rest can stay the same. After the inverted comma, I'm going to say and number dot to text, and in here I want to pass the work item IDs that we retrieved in the earlier step over here. Okay, so now remember to change source to your second step so that can be applied. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here, and this looks all good. So I'm going to press done, and here we go. We've got a new column called VSTS, which has the information that we need. But now to be able to use this, we need to expand it and retrieve the actual acceptance criteria and description. So what I will do is I'm going to expand this. The only thing we need from here is fields. If you can't see fields, click on load more, but you should be able to see it the first time. Yeah, fields, I'm going to press OK. And then once again, I'm going to expand, and here you can see all of the fields that can be retrieved using this function. So there's a bunch of different things, but the only things that I need are acceptance criteria right here and system.description. So I will only be checking these two. I press OK, and as you can see, I've now got the description and the acceptance criteria right here. However, sometimes you would have these HTML tags showing here, and obviously we don't want that inside of the report. So this takes us to the final step, which is just cleaning up these tags here. So to do that, I'm going to go on Advanced Editor, and this piece of code here, you can find it down below, and you can just copy and paste it and then change the fields depending on what you've chosen to retrieve. But I will be doing it for both description and acceptance criteria. I'm going to start with the acceptance criteria. So here I'm going to go comma, new line, and then I'll write a small comment saying tidy up code, just tidy up, so you can see it. And I'm going to paste these 4 lines over here. And just remember that if you decide to do it differently, or you're not taking the acceptance criteria, or you've decided to name these different, this right here needs to match this right here. Okay. So this right here will clean up the acceptance criteria, and then remove this comma. And remember to change this. So copy it and paste it. Press done. Let's just check it's working. Yes, it is working. So as you can see, the div was here, and then in the new column we don't have it. So that works. I'm going to do the exact same logic for the description. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to just write another comment over here, paste the 4 lines, and you're going to get a bunch of errors now because obviously it's duplicated and you can't have the same name. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through each line and change AC to D, and every time I run into something that has to do with acceptance criteria, I will change it to the equivalent for description. For example here, let me copy and paste this bit because this is what the actual field will be called. I'm going to replace this. I'm going to replace this, and the exact same process, by the way, for any other fields if you were to retrieve something else. Okay, we're getting a red line here. Is it because, yeah, I forgot to add the comma. So let me add that. And remember, as always, to change this final line here. So copy and paste that. And oh wait, I forgot to change this description. Okay, and this should also work. The acceptance criteria has disappeared, but let's check the code. Oh yes, when you do copy and paste it, you need to remember that each line needs to link to the previous one. We need to copy this right here from the acceptance criteria part and paste it over here, because then it will just skip it if you don't do that. So I will go here and then I'll go here. And there we go. We've got everything as expected. This works. I can go ahead and delete these two because we don't need them. And I'm going to close and apply. And here we go. As you can see, I've got all of the fields that I was looking for. So I've got the description, acceptance criteria, and the other 4 fields. And now if I want to, I can use them however I wish inside the Power BI. So for example, if I get a table and I want to see the title, acceptance criteria, and description, as you can see, it's right here. Thank you very much for watching, and if you've got any questions, please leave them down below.